One man was going about his daily routine on a quiet Sunday morning. He had just returned from church service and was about to eat when he received a phone call. The church he had just left had been bombed and 30 people had died. He shakily drove over to his friend's house, only to find the whole family dead. Hi there, welcome to Veritas Populi, the truth of the people. In this episode, we will be tackling the tragic tale of this young man, which mirrors his country of Nigeria, dying every day under the grasp of the Boko Haram. We look at why this happens and see hope. The Boko Haram. Translating as Western education is a sin, or Western influence is a sin, it's not to wonder about why this young man and his friend's family was annihilated, killed, massacred. Their only sin, of course, was accepting Western religion and education. Sacrilege. Now, the actual name of the Boko Haram is the Jama'atu al-Sunnah lid-Dawati wal-Jihad, or the group of the people of Sunnah for Dawa and Jihad. Linked to the nefarious Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, Al-Qaeda, it is commonly known as the West African Province Movement, as a part of the radical Islamic State. It's a Sunni community which focuses mainly on Nigeria and its surrounding countries. However, this is very unlike and uncharacteristic of an Islamic terrorist group, primarily because most terrorist groups like the Al-Qaeda, the ISIL, etc. are well known for focusing on the world itself. However, that can be explained by the origins of this movement. Originally a political movement based on Salafism, the strict following of the Shariat, it began as a part of the famous Izala society, which was a conservative Islamic sect. However, its founder, Muhammad Yusuf, broke away after recruiting many young men to his own Boko Haram. Now, while this continued, he would broadcast speeches all over television, radio, newspapers, and what this would do was just bring more and more people to the radicalized Boko Haram. The Council of Ulama, which is the Islamic elite in Nigeria, even tried to prevent these speeches from being broadcasted. But somehow, the government didn't listen, even though these speeches were highly radical, volatile, and could have potentially caused the secular government of Nigeria to fall apart. However, the reason why the Council of Ulama even decided to try and block these broadcasts is primarily because of the controversial Wahhabism or Wahhabi fundamentalism which was present in these speeches. An ultra-conservative extremist right-wing movement. Wahhabism is a very old and ancient practice which adheres to the monotheistic Tawheed, which implies that only one entity can be worshipped, and that is God. According to the Boko Haram, a secular state promotes worshipping the state, and the state is not God. Therefore, singing a national anthem or even hoisting a national flag is considered punishable by death. But till now, what we've talked about, it really is just a political, albeit radical movement. So how did it transform into such a genocidal state? It went straight from a fringe movement to real genocidal threat. The obvious question lies on how. And to ask that how, there are always two sides to every tale. The Nigerian government holds that the Boko Haram was always under surveillance. The government had launched multiple investigations into a group known as the Operation Flush, a purported militia. In 2009, 9 Boko Haram members were arrested in connection with the Operation Flush investigations, causing unprecedented attacks and riots, according to officials. However, the Boko Haram on the other side understands that the government attacked a funeral procession and even tried to execute Muhammad Yusuf. This needed revenge and caused many riots in northern Nigeria. Many political scientists believe that the Nigerian Boko Haram explosion was probably manipulated by local politicians in their political struggles. They were subsequently led by self-styled hero and cult figure Abu Bakr Shekau when Yusuf was executed in cold blood by the state. And that was inevitably the last law. This led to the complete transformation of the Boko Haram into a genocidal organization. Currently, they state that they are waging war with the Nigerian government, calling for a shura or a council dominated by Boko Haram members to actually advise the entire country. But what did they do? Why are we calling this entire organization genocidal? The reason we are is because of their goal. The young man had done only one crime, as we have all known. He was Christian and he was Nigerian. Therefore, their goal was to eliminate all of these reformists, Christians, and the Western elite. What they have done in 3 days, not even dictators like Pol Pot could do in 1 year. In 3 days, the Boko Haram killed over 1,000 Christians who refused to convert to Islam. 26th to 29th July 2009. Across several states in Nigeria, riots and massacres broke out as state forces and the Boko Haram fought each other. Shots rained down everywhere, cannons fired, tanks were brought in, but to no avail. That was the beginning of a far greater threat, the Boko Haram. What is more surprising is that the Nigerian government was aware of the coming uprising and even tried to preempt the militants. This, of course, might just be a political cover-up, since the political governor of the state even mentioned that the catastrophic differences would have been far worse if they hadn't preempted the militants. However, that is not all which they've done. In 2014, they captured nearly 300 mostly Christian girls from Chibok. Now this gained them international attention as well. The reason was that these were all schoolgirls going to secondary school in Nigeria. The reason why this took place, they believe that girls should not be educated. Ever since 14th April 2014, most of these girls have gone missing. What is even more antagonizing and irate is that the Nigerian army was aware of this attack 4 hours prior and did nothing about it. For all we know, and we know a lot, the girls have been killed, raped, tortured, used as slaves, and even sex slaves. They have been married to Boko Haram soldiers and commanders. They've even had children with them. What is annoying is that the Nigerian government has refused the aid of the RAF, which had tracked down the Boko Haram in 2014, tried to rescue these Christian girls. This sort of pride cannot be accepted. And this despicability deserves an explanation. How can any terrorist get so worked up to commit such atrocities? It may not be a liable explanation to you, a listener with access to the internet and laptop. But in most of Nigeria, what you hold is a luxury. The reason is the harsh and staggering dual economy of Nigeria. Sure, there's been a lot of cosmetic economic growth and a lot of talk about shifting Nigeria to an upper middle class income country. However, the only reason this is happening is because the rich are growing rich and the poor are growing poor. The urban lifestyle, yes, has improved manifold. You have SUVs, air conditioning everywhere, brightly painted malls. But the state has ignored the poor peasants and the rest of the country. This poverty has driven the notion that the West is responsible for their failure of a state. And the reason why Islam and religion isn't able to help them is because the Islamic elite of Nigeria are exceptionally rich. And hence, the people believe the Boko Haram's lies about their revisionist and infidel stances. Secondly, the government is weak. The Nigerian government has not had enough funds to provide for all its citizens properly, since most of it goes in corruption. And there's a large amount of institutional deficiency in Nigeria itself. Looking at Nigeria, we can also realize that there is no democracy, and a lack of democracy and inclusive political institutions has led to a far weaker government than in any other part of sub-Saharan Africa. The most important reason is sympathy. Many within the government and political system have tried to repress the Boko Haram extrajudicially, and that has caused sympathy for the Boko Haram. When people are tortured, detained, killed, it usually creates sympathy. So now the Nigerian government is at fault. But what now? Has the government even tried to fight back, tried to dissuade the public from joining the Boko Haram? Yes, and it has worked, so it seems. From 2015, under President Buhari, deaths have fallen to less than 1,000 per year. Large areas of Nigeria have been recaptured. But is it really as it seems? No. Most political scholars believe that the Boko Haram has shifted tactics. Ever since the huge military confrontations in 2015, it has gone for softer targets, since they will lose direct military confrontation. There's been an increase in the number of kidnaps, and rural villages and schools have been attacked once again. Above all this, we still cannot commit that the Nigerian government is scot-free. We cannot ignore that the Nigerian government's human rights violations have caused far more people to be alienated. Torture, murder, detention, all of them have a price which Nigeria has paid so many times. The Boko Haram itself was spurred by the death of Muhammad Yusuf. So what can we do to help the victims of this unseen genocide? Raise our voice in support of negotiations. We must force our leaders to bring the international community's attention once again to the looming threat of Boko Haram, which has hidden itself but not disappeared. At the same time, change will not come unless the government tries to allow change. Therefore, pressure on the Nigerian government is most important. Support us at Veritas Populi by spreading the facts, the flip side and the face of things, by liking and following our podcast. Share it with your friends and family and spread the truth, because the truth belongs to the people.